The leader on the court for the Winnsboro girls basketball team has a history of winning at the highest level as a player. Now she's stepping into the sneakers of the man that once coached her. Here's KLTV7's Alex Weister.
Here we go, one more time. Here we go.
Imani Wright has a winning history in basketball.
Here we go, threes, catch and shoot, catch and shoot.
Imani signed with Baylor out of Liberty-Ilo High School in 2012 before getting drafted to the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury in 2018. Now she begins another chapter, head coach of Winnsboro girls basketball.
Very excited, to have the opportunity and really excited to work with the girls that I've pretty much coached since they were in 6th grade.
Robert Cochran was the head coach of the Lady Raiders the last 6 years, retiring this offseason. In his tenure, the team made the state tournament 4 years, including last year.
And then now from here, we slip to the rim, okay?
Right now filling his shoes after being an assistant since 2020.
He's been able to mentor me because of the things that he established and then some of the things we talked about, just making sure that, the transition has been much easier than people would have liked for us to have.
Before the WNBA stint and collegiate stardom, Wright spent 4 years coached by Cochran at Liberty-Ilo, playing for him all 4 years of high school, winning a championship in 2010.
Everything I saw him do, just making sure I implement that in my own way, of course, but the things that he laid, the foundation that he set, just for these girls, I'm just trying to make sure that we stay the course with that.
With half of the team graduating, Wright says there has been some growing pains in year one with Winnsboro.
At first it was rough, but we definitely got better as a team.
Just kind of being unsure, and then the relationships changing from assistant coach to head coach now.
But still feels they will be able to maintain the legacy of the program.
Our practices are still very intense, and the expectations are still the same. So I think it's just a lot of learning with the new people.
Alex Weister, KLTV7 News.
Wright's father was also an NBA champion. He won at 78 with the Washington Bullets. Winnsboro won their second district game tonight. Congratulations.